Hi everyone, and welcome to my next video tutorial, which is going to be focused on working with components in Django. And specifically in this video, we're going to look at Unicorn, which is one of the most popular components that you can utilize within Django. They even call it magical. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing that you need to have set up, as always, is a Django project that you want to utilize this library with. As you can see, I have a very basic one here. I've just created a project, no apps, nothing like that. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to install this library. So we need to say pip install Django-Unicorn. So we can head on over to our terminal and say pip install Django-Unicorn. Okay, so it's going to take a moment to install because it does have a lot of sub packages that come along with it, as you can see. So it's just going to take a minute or so for that to be installed. And there we have it. Next, we need to add the Django-Unicorn library to our list of installed apps. So we can go ahead and copy that. And as we can see there, it's primarily going to be at the bottom. That would be the best way to put it. So we can navigate to our main Django project settings.py file. And let's just remove this comment. And we can scroll down to our list of installed apps and we can go on ahead and paste it in like that. All right, so make sure that you've linked that up accordingly. Next thing that we need to do is we need to update our main urls.py file to import Django-Unicorn and then also to set its default path as well. So this is going to be done in our main Django project urls.py file, not in our app. So we can go ahead and import Django-Unicorn. And let's go to the main urls.py file that we have. Let's take out this comment. And we can add that in. Then we need to add in the following paths to our URL patterns list. And I just want to structure that. And it's taking in the include function. So from the Django.urls, we want to import paths along with include. So this will be picked up. Now at the test, we can add Unicorn to a HTML template. Now we don't have a HTML template yet. So what I recommend you do now is create a Django app. So what we can do is we can go ahead and close that and let's start a Django app. So we can open up a command prompt and say Python manage.py start app. And I want to go ahead and call this CRM. Okay, and let's register CRM in our settings.py file. So I'm just going to add that in. So I'll say within quotes CRM. So make sure you add that to your list of installed apps as well. Great. And then we can go to CRM and right click, say new folder, and we can call this templates. And as we can see, we can add Unicorn to the HTML template that we have here, but we just need to give this template a name. So let's right click on the templates directory, say new file, and we can call this, let's call this actually index.html. We want it to be a bit different. And whenever you're going to be utilizing a component from Unicorn, you need to always add in the load Unicorn tag right at the top of your HTML files. And then you need to add in the following syntax. There we go. So we'll have the head tag. We'll have the default Unicorn scripts that works in the background and our CSRF token. We haven't added in a component yet. I'll show you how to create a component. Okay, and now what we can do is we can go on ahead and create our components. So this is the syntax for creating your component. Now, whenever you create a component, you're going to run python manage.py, start Unicorn, and then you will state your app name. So in our case, we created an app called CRM, and then you're going to give your component a name here. And then that component is going to essentially be created within your app. and it's going to be seen as a component view and a component template. And I'll show you what I mean by this. So let's go ahead and copy that line of code. And this. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set the app name here to CRM. And the name of our component here is going to be component name. Or you can just say my component or anything you desire. That this is where you put the component in here. So I'm going to say my underscore component. Okay. And you can go ahead and press enter. And within your app directory there, it's going to create your first component in CRM and the first template in CRM. Okay, and we might get this message. We can just say no for now. And there we go. But those components have been created. So you can see this is going to be like our main index.html file for importing components. And you can see here we have this unicorn directory here, and we have my component.html. And here you can enter in your component code, reference this component in your main index.html file, for example. It also has a components directory, which kind of acts like your views, you could say. So if we go to my component.py, it's going to just pass for the moment, but you can add in some code here, and I'm going to show you an example of how you can do that later on. But this is how you can simply create your component. Okay, then we can actually add this component to a template. So the designation would be to look in the unicorn directory and then look for the name of the component. So in our case, we would look into the directory, which is called unicorn, within CRM. And then I can see my underscore component.html, and I want to reference that, for example, in my index.html file. But before I do that, let me actually add in some code in the component. Now, try to see these components as individual parts of your application. So it can be a navigation bar, it can be a footer, it can be a segment of code, or anything of the like. So here I'm just going to say, I'm going to put in some code here. I'm going to say h1. About me. And here I'm just going to say random. And I'll put in also a horizontal line. So I added in a bit of information here to my component, and I want to include this in my main index.html file. So what I can do according to this is I can add in the following tag within my body and reference the name here. So I called this my component. Just like that. And now what we can do is test this index.html file out. But before we do that, we need to set the base URL for index.html. So you can leave your components as they are. And let's just clean this up. Okay, so in CRM, let's right click, say new file, and call this urls.py. And we can open up our main urls.py. And we can just copy that code and just adjust. And we don't need that. All we need is the pass function. And we can create our own URL. We'll leave that blank. And I'm going to set the views there. So the views.py file I'll open up. And we can create a simple view. So def index request return render request, and we'll say index.html so we can render that file. And here we can say from.import views, and we want to return that particular view, which is index, and add the comma at the end. Now we just need to make sure that we link all the URLs here to our main urls.py file. So here we can just go ahead and add in pass empty strings, and we can say include, and we want to include all of our URLs, from our CRM app. Okay, so we're just linking our URLs here with CRM, and we're just passing through that view from index.html, which is going to display our component. All right. Great. So what we can do is run our server. Okay, and just refresh. There we go. We can see about me, random. Now I want to show you something interesting here. If I close these up, and let's say I remove this component and refresh, it's gone now. So you can see that is a very sort of nifty way in which you can reference and break up your code into certain modules for modularization, just to make it a bit cleaner as a result. So let's go ahead and add that in and refresh. There we go. Now let's say you want to create a quick application and you want to go quite further in it and you want to save time on development. Let's say you want to create a easy to-do application. So let's say we look at this component here for a to-do app. So what we would need to do is follow the process we did before, because when you create a component, it creates a HTML template for you and a .py file for you as well. As we can see referenced here, when you create a component, it's going to consist of a template and then a Python sort of view class, you could say. So what we're going to do is follow the same sort of markup. We're going to use the same app, but we're going to change our component name to do, for example. So we can copy that. And we can close all of this for now. And stop the server. And let's widen that. And we're going to say CRM, because that's the app we're working in, and then we can say to do. This will be the name of our component. Okay, so we've created the to do component and the template. So if we go to Unicorn, we can see we have a to do HTML file. We can enter in our component code, and we also have, if we go to components, we now have a to-do.py file as well, which we can utilize. So in this example here, we are essentially creating a to-do list application here. So here with the HTML for to-do, we can see that Unicorn also has its own sort of HTML syntax in place with buttons and declaring input fields and your form. And we can see we are also looping through our variables as well. So we can go ahead and copy this and put it into the to-do.html file, which we have. So let's go to to-do.html, and within your div here, so make sure you put this in your div. You can just remove the other extra divs I put in. There you have the to-do.html file in place. Then you want to go ahead and add in the logic for the you want to add in the logic for the to-do.py as well. So we can scroll down, and here's the to-do.py, and copy that and remove all of this, paste that in. So now that will be linked. So now all we would need to do to make that functionality work, since we have the component and the HTML, is call the HTML that we have here from to do into our index.html. So let's load in a second component. So we can copy that, reuse it, and you can even put in like a line, for example, if you want to separate your components. And then here we want to reference to do. I'm going to say to do, head on back, and you're going to have to run your server, rerun it. Okay, and refresh. And there we go. So now you've loaded in 2 components. So we have that about me sort of template that we had with our first component. And now we're entering in functionality for to do. And actually, let's go ahead and test this functionality. So let's go ahead and add in task 1. And it adds, we can see it's adding to the list. 2. And clear. Right, so you can see that is how you can go ahead and set that into place. And a good thing about the components, it kind of saves time and removes the whole process of setting up your view in the views.py file, and it does save a lot of time in this regard. And as you can see, it is very helpful with adding in multiple components here. And you can just have sections of your code. You don't need to copy huge parts of code. For example, if you have a navigation bar or something of the sort, or a reusable form that you're going to be using on multiple pages, you can just simply refer to it as such, and there you have it. But the good thing here about Unicorn, or Django-Unicorn should I say, is it has that component that works with the Python code as well, not just with the HTML templates as is. Alright guys, so that is it for this video tutorial. I just wanted to go over a really cool sort of library that I found out in Django-Unicorn. I can see it's very useful, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg in its capabilities. There is more in the documentation that I will refer in the description for you towards. But yes, so that's it guys. That's all for this video tutorial, and as always, thank you for the support, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.